Hello friends, I'm Jessica. My shop is prettyoldbooks.com. Today I would like to share with you some things I've added to the shop this week. And the theme for this week's shop update was classics and a little bit of Christmas, because Christmas in July. Okay, I love Christmas in July. Not celebrating this year because I'll be on vacation, but it's the spirit. I still have the Christmas in July spirit. So most of these books I'm going to share with you today are classics or are lesser known books by famous classic authors with a little smattering of Christmas, which I will share at the end. So let's dive in. You can find a link to all of these books in the description. Okay, so let's just start right here. I have a few Easton Press books. Look at how pristine this is. This is Walden by Henry David Thoreau. I'm not going to open it because you can tell this book has never been fully opened before. With all of the Easton Presses that I have today, they all have the book plate inside, still unpeeled and no lettering on them. So these are in pristine condition. So there's that, that's Walden. Next we have this edition of The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This is rebound in a library binding. It is from a school. This is a fourth printing from 1939. It's got a sturdy binding, not the original binding, but it's still in really great condition. And those library bindings are just so sturdy. They hold up to anything. All right, next we have a lesser known book by Kurt Vonnegut. This is Jailbird, and this is a third printing of this edition from 1979, I believe. And then I have two Ernest Hemingway books. This is The Old Man and the Sea. This printing, it says it is from 1952, which is the year it was published, but this is probably from the later 1950s. There's the inside, and there's the spine. Pretty faded, but still a nice vintage copy. And the other Ernest Hemingway book I have is To Have and Have Not. So this one is also a little bit faded. You can see on the spine, it's a little bit worn. And this one is also, it has a copyright date of 1937, but was probably printed around 1940. Then we have a John Steinbeck, The Winter of Our Discontent. This one has a giant tear right there on the dust jacket. But if we open it up, you can see how pretty that is inside. And this, I believe, is a first edition, I think. I can't quite remember, despite the fact that I just listed it today. Ethan Frome, okay, so a classic. I remember reading this one in high school. This is by Edith Wharton, Modern Standard Authors Edition, and this has a copyright of 1939. Then this book is a fun edition of Treasure Island. So Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. It is illustrated by Edmund Dulac. So here is a sense of the illustration style, but you can see there's lots of foxing spots on these pages. This book is not that old. It's from the late 1970s. So I'm not quite sure why it has so many foxing spots. There's a nice map inside, and there's lots of these full page color illustrations that are really, really lovely. I like that edition a lot. Here is the shabbiest book that I have today, but I had to list it. This is Dante's Inferno. This edition is from the late 1800s and is illustrated by Gustave Doré, or Doré. His illustration style is just really beloved and still sought after today. He did so many illustrations for so many classic works. So this one is really, really shabby. This giant inscription, can you see it? It's dated 1896. And then when we open it up, we can see that this is completely detached here. And the table of contents, this page is ripped. But if we get into the book itself, it still has the stunning, stunning illustrations. Let's see if I can find one really quick. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, so even though this is just so shabby and worn, I knew I had to list it in the shop because somebody will still want it, and it's very, very special. Okay, moving on, we have another classic illustrator. This is the Leaves of Grass Heritage Press edition, and it's illustrated by Rockwell Kent, who is another beloved illustrator. These are woodcuts, I believe, and they are just wonderful. I love Heritage Press books because they really did seek out lovely illustrators that just really elevated the books that they offered. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. Just simple, beautiful. And then this has the lovely grass spine. Okay, now we have Evelyn Waugh. So if you've not read any Evelyn Waugh, he's wonderful. The first book I read by him was Scoop, which was hilarious. And then this is a very serious, sad, somber book, Brideshead Revisited. This edition is from 1945. And then we have another Robert Louis Stevenson. This is David Balfour, and it is illustrated by N.C. Wyeth. So I guess the theme today is classic literature that's illustrated by classic artists. So I'm going to take this out of the dust jacket. So you can see that it has this lovely illustrated cover. This is a former library book from Kentucky. Let's see if I can pop open to another illustration page in here. Here we go. Let's just take a look. Very nice, very nice. And in pretty good shape for a library book, and nice that it has the dust jacket still. That when I was researching this book, it wasn't very common to find them with the dust jacket. All right, this book is really fun. I can't wait. I think I'm going to read this afternoon. So this is called The 13 Clocks, and it's by James Thurber. And it is a kind of a fairy tale that's meant to appeal to kids and grown-ups alike. And it is illustrated by Mark Simont, and it is from 1950. So if you open it up, here we go. Really lovely, fun illustrations, and from what I read about this book, it sounds very charming. So I'm looking forward to reading that. Next, this is Les Miserables. It is by Victor Hugo. This is a Canterbury Classics edition from the mid-2010s, and it also appears unopened. You can see that the bookmark there is still tucked in nice and tight, like it would have been when it was first purchased. So I'm not going to open this up any further because I want it to stay as pristine as possible. I had a couple of Iris Murdoch books, and I decided to list this one, The Nice and the Good. I've not read any Iris Murdoch, but one of her books is on my nightstand right now to be read. This one is from 1968. Then we have J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion, okay? So this is his kind of like overarching mythology anthology book that explores his whole entire imaginary realm, okay? So this is a book club edition from 1977. Next, I have 3 copies of Silas Marner by George Eliot, which if you haven't read, is very approachable. We're gonna start with this guy, who is the littlest and the oldest, okay? So this one, I am guessing, is from the early 1900s, like 1910s, maybe. And it is a beautiful little edition called the New Universal Library. The New Universal Library came, they published a lot of the classics in this similar style. What a fun collection that would be. So there's that one. And then the next one is the art type edition, which is a little bit later. This would be early 1940s. You can see the spine, it's got some nice decoration on it. And then it also has a brief little biography of George Eliot here, and then the text. And then the prettiest one I have is another Easton Press, another appears unopened in perfect condition edition. All the Easton Presses I have today, is there just 2? I thought there was 3, but maybe there's just 2. They are part of the Easton Press 100 Best Books Ever Written series, okay? So if you haven't read Silas Marner, I would encourage you to give it a try. It is the most approachable of her works, And if you've ever watched A Christmas Story, the movie, you know, he's in 4th grade, the hero of the story. And there is a classroom scene in which they're discussing Silas Marner. So if a 4th grader can read it, we can too. Okay, next I have this set of 2 Nathaniel Hawthorne books. I decided to list them together because they just look like they belong together, okay? The first is Snow Image and Other Twice Told Tales. This one does not have a date, and it has a loose page with an inscription on it. And then this one is The Scarlet Letter, and this one is the Salem edition, and it looks like it was a former library book because it says withdrawn there, even though I can't see any other signs of it being used in a library. But those are both, I think The Scarlet Letter is from the late 1800s, and the other one is probably early 1900s. All right, we're diving into Christmas already. Wow, okay. Here's the first Christmas book. It's pretty, it's got some damage there, you can see. It's called Brotherly House, A Christmas Story by Grace S. Richmond. And if you look her up, you will see that she wrote quite a few of these Christmas stories, and they all look kind of similar. This one is about an estranged family just kind of coming back together. And that was from 1912, I believe. Miracle on 34th Street. This is a first edition of Miracle on 34th Street. It's got some condition issues. You can see that it's got some water ring staining there. And it, see on the dust jacket as well. Okay. And then in the back, you can see the glue kind of. But still, that's the first edition and a nice little addition to somebody's Christmas shelf. Next, we have Christmas Tales by Charles Dickens. This is an illustrated, Great Illustrated Classics edition. So this one also has some issues with the dust jacket. Whoop, look at that, okay? So, but inside it's actually pretty nice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take the dust jacket off so I can show you the inside. Look at that pretty spine. And here we have Mr. Dickens. And just opening up to a random page, there's one of the illustrations. So this has a Christmas story, no, a Christmas Carol in it, and also I think 8 or 9 other Christmas themed stories. All right, now we're getting into a little more modern. We have this Reader's Digest, the Book of Christmas, which I just love. It's just so pretty, and look at the nice gold simple lettering. I just opened it up to The Fir Tree by Hans Christian Andersen. So this has stories and all kinds of things in it. Religious stories, all kinds of things. And it's just packed full of wonderful illustrations. Okay, this is the newest one I have. This is a Southern Living Christmas book. It's called Christmas All Through the South. And this is from 2014, I believe. So it's just full of, you know, recipes and different places and how they decorate for Christmas and different Christmas traditions. I have different destinations all throughout the South. And the last one I have is Christmas at Home. So this is from 1998. These are really fun. I love 1990s, very early 2000s Christmas and decorating books. So this one has decorating the house, and there's some wreath making, also handmade gifts, and like this is a garland, all kinds of fun stuff like that. Okay. I think that's it. That went really fast. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but maybe not. Okay. So all of these will be in the link in the description for this week, and I will be back shortly with another shop update video. I've been doing these all summer and they've been lots of fun. So thank you for watching and enjoying these books with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.